Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here, along with Rogan Smith and Candelaria Thompson. What were you laughing at?
I said when we were getting ready to come on, I said, let's go. I said, if it's okay with you, just
I
based
didn't
on
hear that
our conversation off air.
Okay, well, that's important.
What's up, y'all?
Ken, thank you for the water. We've lost our supply. Where did this come from?
Kendrick purchased
The
it
shop?
from a store.
I mean, the people shop here?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
He got a case. He got a case.
Okay, but you got that locked down, Okay, because I spent many years in this building. If we had, let's say, our sponsor Coca-Cola, we were considering getting a cooler with some Coke Zeros and Dasani.
You don't need to be drinking soda.
Coke Zero. And
you don't need to be. I'm
going
saying
to.
you,
Yeah,
not the world.
I'm drinking Coke soda.
You
And
get the Dasani from them.
the zero, and it's zero sugar now. We'll have to put that in like a safe, You come back if you get, let's say, 4 case, and you put that in there today. Tomorrow when you come there, you'll find like 3 soda.
If you find that.
And here's this is the thing: no one know what happened. Okay, I mean, one person didn't drink 4 cases, right? But no one know what happened.
Or maybe they told
Hey,
it.
and then they doing this. They
Coke
know
burp.
the Coke burp, yeah.
Yeah. How are you guys doing?
I'm okay.
How was the weekend, Candy?
Oh, I'm good.
Candy always. Swear to God.
I was so.
Shane in this studio right now.
I'm sorry. I was reading something.
Shane in
No,
the
I'm
studio.
good. I had a good weekend. Worked a lot, and that was, that's what my weekends have become.
Yeah. But it's
So,
good.
yeah, man.
You be productive. You get it knocked out.
Yeah. How about you?
Ken. You zone out was good?
Ken.
No, I worked and then I had a good relaxing. I relaxed on Saturday and I worked hard on Sunday, which
That's
it should have been. It
backwards.
should have been. Yeah, it's a little backwards. It should have been my worked on Saturday, but that won't happen moving forward. I can make sure that's my day of rest.
Yeah.
For
Nothing beats a nice Sunday, just a lazy Sunday.
sure. Watch Law and Order
Can I ask a
SVU.
question? Was this recycled food? Was this finished with for you, or something was supposed to come back to you?
Now let me explain something.
Was something supposed to
the
come back to
listen-
you?
Let me.
In other words, if I kill it,
Don't call my food recycled food.
if I kill it,
You want it?
no, I'm saying, were you expecting some back?
No, I'm gonna eat a little bit more of that lamb, and then you could have
Okay,
the rest.
all right. Well, then I
On the break,
I'll
you could
stop
go.
it.
No, keep going. Eat the salad and stuff. Say the recycled
No,
food.
what he's saying, he's about to finish that lamb.
Well, leave me a piece of lamb on the
I'm
side.
not going to finish it. I just want to know.
Oh,
Yeah, you
because
can
you
have that. I
said
want
kill
that,
it.
you know, dribble all over
You
my
I
were.
said I would.
Oh, you would. Okay. You look like you were about to kill.
He didn't spit in the food. I didn't see the thing drop out of his mouth. So
No, that wasn't spit. That
just
dropped
make-
on the ground. See?
Well, pick it up. You left it on the.
Hold on.
Oh,
What?
nasty.
What you all talking about?
No,
The
it
spit?
was, no, it was feta. It was a thing. The cheese. I don't even see it. I don't know if you'll
That's
know
gonna
this.
rot
I don't.
right
The
I don't know
carpet
if you
has
know- I don't know if
absorbed
you know
it.
this. I don't know if you don't know this, but many years ago, many years ago, Ken might know about this. There was a crack epidemic in
Yes,
the Bahamas, right?
I'm aware.
And there were guys who I knew who were bad off. They were in bad shape. And you'd go to their house, and they painted the floor black. So just
So
in
they
case
could see
anything
some
dropped.
drop.
They
They
they,
gotta get
they
that.
know where their coke is.
Listen,
What?
I know
Not
this,
Coke Zero.
we're past this now, and so it's now. But there was a lot of humor in the things that the brothers did in them days, man.
That-
You'd get calls in the middle of the night. One guy called me, one guy knocked on my window.
I remember the story.
So I said to him, and I'm gonna make up the name, Ken. He knocked on the window.
Boy, Ken.
I sleep, and it's like 2:00 in the morning.
That's prime
So
time.
so he, and see that what I love about them, they have concocted a story in their coked up mind that once they say, okay, that's it, they put it together,
Cerebellum.
they know that once they tell you the story,
That's it.
you're gonna buy that.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, Candy, I say, Ken, what you doing here, man? Listen, man, I got a problem. Now, what they don't realize, as soon as you see them at 2,
You
you already know.
what happened.
So no matter what
You
story,
already know what's up.
no matter what story they come in with, you just waiting for the entertainment value.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, man, let me tell you what happened. I was driving down Howard Road, right? And I saw this girl walking by herself, so I stopped
Mm-hmm.
to see what happened, because, it's not safe. So I found out that she had been raped. So she, I said, well, listen, let me give you a ride. And so what I did is I give her my last 50. You see? Because, 50 is a cure for rape. So I said to him, I said, okay, well, that's very good, man. He said, well, listen, but I can need that back now, though. So I'm wondering if you could give me that now, since I give him my last 50.
Why don't you go and ask a lady?
And you know what's so funny about those things? I don't remember if I gave it to him
Yeah,
or not,
you
but
give it to him.
more often than not, you give it to the person.
You gave it to him.
For the creative, you say, boy, you creative now.
Like,
But
for you to come up with that.
what he don't understand is, he need that now. Okay?
Not in the morning.
Not in the morning.
No,
He couldn't
I
wait
can
till
need
say,
that little
come
thing.
around at say 9, 10 o'clock. Say, listen, Dad, last night this what happened. No,
Yeah.
I need to. If I could get a reimbursement on that now. Okay. All kind of stories, man.
Who's the fool in this? Why you even open the door?
Oh no. One time I got a call from a guy.
I blame him.
Entertainment.
Oh,
You know the other thing that used to happen. The other thing used to happen. They were very creative. They would look to see what Listen, I was right on Shirley Street, right by Zion. This fella coming to me. You don't see these people now.
No, you don't.
Listen, can I borrow 86 cents?
I'm going to do that.
And see, their plan was
$86.
they knew you ain't got 86 cents.
You gave him the dollar.
They get the dollar
But only
because you
one
can't get no
lady.
14 cents. You know what I mean?
You're lying.
I'm serious. I had people ask me for things like, can I get $11? They had the whole thing work right out, man. Okay?
Hey.
Oh my god.
So you can tell them, don't worry about it. Keep the rest.
But I don't have 14 cents on me. So another time, a fellow, I get a call. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Listen, Ed, the car run out of gas, man.
So it's 2 o'clock.
Because they wind up now. They need another couple of hits. So listen, Ed, I was driving right, and the car run out of gas, man.
Right.
So what I wondered if I could come by and borrow a couple of dollars, put some gas in the car.
You and
So
Mr. Wayne?
no. So I said, yeah, man, why not? Come by. It's entertainment. And see, in my mind, I have a convoluted mind like this, their last run. So everyone who does that to me, this is my sacrifice. So anyway, he came. I said, listen, man, don't bother me. I can leave the money in the
pot.
barbecue.
Oh.
In the barbecue. So I leave the money
How
in the
much you
barbecue. $10 or so.
Okay.
So he called me back. He said, Ed, you got a little dog? I said, yeah. He said, you might want to get it because it's outside. So I then said to him, and again, I'm going to make up a name. Ken, you realize I have call ID, right? He called from home. He got his name on to say Ken Williams.
What?
Okay, and he told me he run out of gas. Okay? Okay? You see why I have to give them money? He run out of gas, right? But he home. Because it say Ken Williams on my phone.
So he drove way down
From home.
for $10.
He needed it. He
Because
needed
I
it.
yes.
He ran
He ran out of hits. Okay. So I used to see all kind of things, man. I'm telling you, I've seen situations, man. I've been to parties. I saw a guy one time borrowed a guy's car. We had a stag party. And this guy said, listen, man, I got to make a run. This was around about 11. We had to go to a wedding rehearsal the next day. Your boy come back like, 3 o'clock the next day in the car. And then he had what kind of excuse?
Mm-hmm.
So it's sad, very sad. Back in those days. Were you around then, Ken? Did you see that kind of action?
Of course.
You knew people who did that kind of thing, right? They also used to say things like, you'd be walking along, like, so we used to go to 601,
Mm-hmm. Oh my god. Yeah.
right? So you're walking along 601 at night. It's like 1 a.m. And the fella come up to you and say, listen, Motai, I got a good deal for you. And I said, what that?
A good deal.
Yeah.
1 a.m.
I go, and what's that? Well, listen, I just come off the boat. We catch a whole bunch of crawfish. But what I need is I run out of gas, so I need some
Oh my
money
God.
to go get the crawfish, and I give you $50 worth of crawfish
The
free
silliest,
if you give me
most
$20.
elaborate explanation.
And I
ever.
just to say to these guys, do you think I'm on coke too, eh?
It's just.
You think
it's
like I had
just
a Coke
dumb
World too?
story. Yeah.
So what, people aren't doing crack anymore?
Oh,
Not
yeah.
to that, I don't know to that
They still
extent.
doing
though.
it, but
I don't think to that extent. I don't think to
a
that
lot of
extent.
people
So what?
are managing.
It's died down?
I don't know. I think it has.
That's interesting.
I
Unless
never
people hiding it better.
Anyway,
we hide
we
it
got to
better.
take a break. We'll be right back. Our guest this afternoon is going to be Darren Henfield, Minister of Foreign Affairs. We'll talk about a range of things, and we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith and Candy Thompson. I think you said that you have a hot topic, a celebrity item that you wish to discuss with Candy, or have you forgotten it already?
I forget that.
Ed's
Well,
favorite.
Well, please.
This is,
I was supposed to go
segment?
on.
Well, no, I'm just saying that if
I
you're
could
hot
talk.
topic.
No, I
I
could
thought
talk
you had
about
a
the
hot
same
thing.
thing I was telling you about later.
Mhm.
But we could talk about
Which
this.
one are we talking about? Wendy?
Yeah, Wendy and
Okay.
and that's what you wanted to discuss.
Yeah, I wanted to, because I mean, this is a hot topic today.
Wendy?
Wendy
Wendy
Williams.
Oh, she, okay. I
Your
thought
best
you
friend,
like
Wendy
if she's
Williams.
related to the
How you
brothers.
doing?
How you doing?
How
By the
you
way,
doing?
rest
Did
in peace to Luke Perry.
Oh yes,
I-
90210.
Anybody who grew up and
Dylan.
watched 90210 in the 90s, they know.
What was his last name?
McKay.
McKay.
Yeah. You can blink all you want.
I'm not blinking.
This
Brenda's
is
love
Brenda's
of
love.
her life.
And Kelly's.
Oh, and
Oh,
Kelly.
Kelly.
Well, yes, that's who divided the two of them.
52 years old, massive stroke. Just like
Yeah.
that, 52.
So now he had a stroke and then he was hospitalized.
Yes. This
And
all happened this week.
was he like on life support or something? Because
There
how
was a
the story
report
was
that
like
he
all of his
was-
family was around, so obviously
They must have known.
or you think they would have turned.
No, I don't think it was like that. I mean, it's a
No.
massive stroke that he suffered, and I think they had to put him. It was reported that they had to put him in they had to induce a coma or whatever,
Oh,
and then
my
that was
goodness.
dispelled, and then he passed away today. So
Wow.
part of my childhood right there.
Yeah.
But anyway, the big news as well was Wendy Williams' return.
The most anticipated return must be. I keep hearing about it.
Oh my God, she's been gone for several months. She is suffering with Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune disease, and so she was on strict doctor's orders to stay away from the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of
What does
celebrities.
Graves' disease do? Just out of
It
interest.
causes like bulging of the eyes. It's very
Okay.
uncomfortable.
thyroid thing?
It's related to your thyroid.
You know, I did not
as
know
well.
she was suffering from that, but now I didn't know.
When
'Cause
she would open her eyes like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And she's
That explains it.
Yeah, she has thyroid issues.
Because I mean, I don't watch Wendy all the time. I'm just saying, like I watch clips, on YouTube and
Yeah.
things like that. But
No, but the issue for me was, okay, so she returned, and I don't know if you all know, but it's been reported that her husband, who is also her manager, I think he's been married to her for 25 years, there are rumors that he was abusive towards her and had an extramarital affair with a woman for like the better part of a decade or something like that. And if anybody knows Wendy Williams, she's always serving the piping hot tea, talking about celebrities, issues. If Beyonce and Jay-Z were going through a divorce or whatever, she was, that was her thing. She loved to tear them down. And so now she returned to her show today, and people were expecting her to address that hot topic, and it was like nothing. It was just like, oh, I'm still with him, and you see this big ring on my finger, this big gaudy ring on her finger, and
I was just
not
scrolling
really
through
addressing
Twitter,
it.
and you could see people like saying, worst comeback show ever.
It was horrible.
Because she didn't. She chose She chose not to delve into her.
A friend of mine said, well, nobody, even if they gossip, no one's going to put their business out on the streets like
No.
that, right? But the difference is you make a living off of tearing other people down and gossiping
And just
about
talking
their business.
about people's business. So yeah, but you know what? If I mean that show could have gone so differently. Listen, if you're not going to capitalize on your own, because this is the world that they live in, right? People capitalize on either other people's lives or their own lives, like the Kardashians. They capitalize on their own lives. Wendy.
Absolutely. She
Yeah, they
exploits
do.
other people's lives.
She exploits other people's lives, but I mean that show could have been almost like it could have gone so much differently. Like she could have done a much better job, or she could have drawn in more people. She could have.
I think she missed an opportunity.
She did.
To be
I
able
think
to
she
just-
did.
She missed a hell of an opportunity to keep it real and tell it as she
Yeah,
you always says,
as much as she likes
say it
to.
like I mean it.
Thank you.
She had an opportunity to then say, listen, let me address this big elephant in the room because I
Right.
know what
'Cause
people
I know
have been
y'all
saying.
thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I'm here. I'm back, and I can you could ask me, or I could just, yeah, she missed a huge opportunity.
opportunity. It was
and
horrible.
more people, I think, would have respected her.
I would have certainly.
And been more on board, like not on board with what she does, but like,
They could say,
okay,
at least
well,
she could dish it and she could
she
take
could,
it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
She put her life out there, and it's just that's fine that you want to stand up for your family. That's great, but just hopefully it humbles her a little bit too when you're dealing with other people's situations. You know what I mean? When you're talking about some other celebrity out there who's going through a tough time with their marriage or their divorce or whatever, hopefully she remembers what she went through.
Now, when because I didn't watch it, what did she talk about? Like, did she? Because I'm surprised she didn't.
She opened the show talking about her disease and the fact that she's on medication and all that stuff, and she thanked her fans for staying put during the whole time she was away.
She didn't roll into other people's business?
Oh, then she went into talking about Jussie Smollett, which to me that's like dead news now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not even hot anymore.
Right.
And then from there, then she was like, okay, well, let me, talk about the situation with my family. And it was very brief.
Okay.
Just a bunch of nothing to me.
She went into the Kardashians?
No, she didn't. And I think that was by design. Because had she brought up the fact that Tristan Thompson had cheated,
that's why I asked,
that would have opened, the audience is sitting there, they're going to be like, okay, but you're talking about that.
Talking about this,
and you
got your own stuff going on.
Yeah.
Why is that? Anyway, yeah, she missed a big opportunity. So with that, I mean, I could understand why that would have been, like, the whole comeback would have been a flop.
It was.
She probably lost ratings or lost some viewership.
After all those months gone, I just thought it was going to be much more than that. But then you also talked about the Kardashian situation.
Yeah. I talking about Ed's favorite.
Because he loves
Tom. Yeah, so he loves celebrities. But no, the whole situation surrounding, the Kardashians. If you guys, I'm sure y'all have.
Yeah, we know you love them. What is that gyration?
With the whole Khloe Kardashian, Tristan Thompson, and Jordan Woods triangle and all of that, and Jordan Woods coming on the Red Table Talk with Jada Pinkett Smith and finally coming, I guess, quote unquote, clean about what had happened and stuff like that. And I watched the whole story unfold, and I believe, listening to the interview with Jordan Woods, I believed her. I believed her, and
I did too.
Well, what about Tristan?
Nobody believes him.
Oh, I just made that up. I don't know. I just said I thought I'd be a part. I wanted to be a part of the conversation. I didn't know it was him.
And I agree. Jordan got a lot of
death threats. Hey,
ridicule that should not have been thrown her way.
No.
But isn't that what we always do? Society
will
always go for the woman, and I absolutely detest it.
That's what I wanted to bring up.
Misogyny.
Yeah, why do we do that?
You're being funny in the corner, right? But it is misogyny.
It's a problem. It is a legit problem.
No, seriously, it is.
Okay.
Because here it is. Every time there's a celebrity, they did this with Brad, what's his name? Brad Pitt and Angelina. They pit the women against each other. And what about him? He was the one who was married to Jennifer. And in this instance, it's Tristan who was with Khloe Kardashian or whatever.
They've already been through an incredibly humiliating.
They have. No,
situation.
Look at me, teacher. They have been through.
This is much more interesting than Trump, by the way.
I'm not even talking about Trump.
I can say that off air, what I have to say to you.
Okay, Bumblebee, pale.
Right, but Tristan has already dragged her through some incredibly embarrassing situations. And then for her, especially, for Khloe, who is out of all the Kardashians, yes, I kind of keep up with them, okay? Yeah. That's my guilty pleasure.
She always seems more even-keeled, and I can deal with her.
She is, out of all of them, she is the most level-headed in a sense. And I was very disappointed that she
attacked
Jordan. And not only that, when after the interview, she went on and tweeted, Jordan is lying. You are the reason that, Tristan and I broke up. And I was like, well, child, why did she say that?
Did you say that to her?
No, I wanted to. Well, child, why did you say that?
What did she say when you said that?
She got dragged by
what the internet said to her, what the internet said to her was just, okay, now time out.
Take it out.
Time out.
Yeah.
Now y'all Now
Check out
you
my
know
girl
we
over
were
there.
yeah.
Check out my girl
I
over there, the
know.
albino bumblebee.
Say,
The albino bumble.
anyway,
What
the
language?
support literally went,
Okay.
and you saw it. You saw the shift from, okay, Chloe, we had your back, but now you are talking some real.
Caca.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
But see, I was able
Doo-doo.
to be in that conversation.
No,
I'm
you
not-
weren't.
I
You're
said
being-
caca.
No.
I said caca.
You know, you
No.
act like a petulant child,
Child.
when you
But
do
listen
that.
to me. Do you see
may
how-
not. You may not. Let me say this to you. You may not like celebrity talk, but it's a hot issue of the
It's
day.
hot- that's what I said.
Okay?
It's hot.
And
I, as the boss of the show, allowed you and Candy to do the hot thing. That's what I'm saying, albino bumblebee.
and what do you do in the meantime? When you talk about Trump, I don't do all that.
No, but listen,
And nobody
albino
cares about
bumblebee.
Trump.
Albino bumblebee. Listen to me. I'm saying, hey, ABB. Listen to me, okay? Lovely shirt.
Yeah.
And
Thank
but
you.
do you see how I was able to be a part
No,
of the
you weren't a
conversation?
part of it.
I said
No.
caca, and you said
No.
and then I
No.
said chill, and you
Edward,
were right.
You every time we have a
You're being very
conversation about
sarcastic,
entertainment, you do,
and-
and it's just actually it's rude.
Rude.
It's actually rude.
She said it.
Okay, well,
Yep.
I'm not.
But
I'm
why you
rude.
put this food in front of me?
I didn't put
Oh,
it there.
this
I
is
didn't
you.
touch that.
Mm-mm.
She don't want to recycle food now?
You ate over it and
Well,
threw
y'all
it
put
away.
it in front of
over it.
me?
I didn't eat over it. I
Oh,
ate pieces and
I'm
removed
gonna
it.
throw it away downstairs.
No, don't throw it away.
But
Anyway,
yes, but I
If
and I
you care
was
for me, you will eat some of that food to prove that there's care.
I'm not interested. No, I don't care for you.
Okay, well, in that case, don't eat the food.
And carry that home with you.
Yeah, I really
But
try
it's to the
to
bigger issue.
I
Even
get
though
it.
we're
It's a bigger
talking about
issue,
the
yeah.
Kardashians,
Yeah.
even though we're talking about it's about
there are
the fact
lessons
that
learned from this.
there are lessons, and the lesson is to, society needs to be a little bit more less judgmental when it comes to these situations, in the sense that when there are two consenting adults involved, if you're going to blame someone, blame both of them.
Both,
Okay?
exactly.
But don't just automatically go and say it's the woman's fault that this happened, as if men are so stupid. And you may think they are, but I think they're quite intelligent when they do what they want to do. They know
No,
when
they
they
know
want to
exactly
cheat. They
what
know
they're
when they
doing.
want to be with
Question?
someone.
Can I ask
They
a
know,
question? This
they
is a
know.
bona fide question.
Bona.
You say that, and I don't know any of the circumstances. You say that they always blame the woman. Some men's over here, the dirty dogs, and they don't. That never. You never heard that?
He has. If
No,
you're
not
talking
here. I'm
about-
not talking
I
about
was
here. I'm
talking
talking
about in
to
this
the generic.
instance.
I'm not talking about it. They ain't no good. You never hear that? You never
No,
heard
it's
that
always a
conversation?
different. It's a different reading when it comes to men
reading.
versus women.
Yeah.
Women, there are women who will excuse a man's behavior and be like, "Man will be man. You know how men go." But she is the one who did this. She is the one who
Yeah.
like she's some
And they do it like that?
tempting him or
like
something.
with the vitriol?
Exactly.
They absolutely do.
Exactly
They
like what she
absolutely
did.
do.
Mhm.
It's her.
Just like
Okay.
that.
Round
How do
here
men
keeping
do it?
people man. Your man decided to leave. Your man decided to cheat.
My man? I know,
Your
I'm sorry. Oh, you mean in the rhetorical? Okay, yeah. Because I was a little scared for a
So
second.
be mad at the person who you are in a relationship with, or took vows with, or have children with. Be mad at him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'll-
And she'll bear her
Very
blame.
misdirected.
But it's very misdirected.
It was very misdirected, and that was, what was disappointing.
If
Like,
my-
are we
if-
still here?
If
Like,
my
we still
husband
doing
cheated
this?
on me today, what I calling up this girl for?
Yeah,
What I
I
mad at
don't-
her for? I don't no vows with her.
Right.
That's between me and him. I can take that, my anger or whatever out on him.
Yeah.
My frustration out on him, not her. She has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, exactly. And they made it all
About this girl.
About this 21-year-old girl. That was the focus.
Yeah.
That was the focus. And it was just unfortunate to see grown adults still, doing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Okay.
It's
young
definitely
people,
a lesson.
yeah.
It's definitely a lesson for homegirl, for your girl Chloe,
who,
and it's a lesson learned.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you go.
How's Chloe now?
Boy.
Well, I get a call out when we go on the break at 6
you
o'clock.
do.
and see how
Yeah,
she's
You
doing.
have a
let's-
number?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Okay. You call it the Chloe call?
KK.
KK. Oh, it's the K.
KK, you
K.
okay?
Okay.
K.
Okay, it's not C.
No.
I thought it was Chloe with a C.
No,
Chloe.
K.
it's K.
Okay, well, good. Chloe's good.
I don't know if
Oh,
she's
sorry.
good.
We
Tristan?
won't know until 6 o'clock when
What about
after
Tris?
6.
I
I don't
think
speak
he's
to
out
him.
there. Yeah, I think he's
And Jordan?
okay.
Jordan's fine.
Jordan
You
is-
still talking?
She, I think she
Oh, it's a she. Okay,
She-
sorry.
she will get better.
Okay.
She will get better.
I'm
Rogan
glad she went on
Smith.
that show.
That
yes,
was-
How-
yes,
okay,
darling.
what else is going on, Rogan Smith?
Well, I wanted to applaud your silly self for your Insight article
Oh,
today.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you, man.
Very
I
well
saw that.
stated. It really
Thank
puts
you.
things in perspective, and now I'm going to be watching to see if the journalists will at least put things into context. Nobody is saying you can't report on the advisory, but at least frame it properly.
.000 of zeros.
I mean, this should have been a headline story, actually.
No,
How
it was
wonderful would that
good.
have been? Yeah? That's the chance of a tourist being a victim of crime. Yeah, no, but well written.
Thank you.
And well stated.
Well,
so I give you your props on that.
There are two things. You know, we talk about journalism all the time, and you know, I suppose what I wanted to accomplish there was two things, because you know what I was trying to do, and I hope you can ask me if I did or not, was first of all not to point the finger at any particular person, but to be balanced and show that everyone's to blame. You know, but look at the thing with the U.S. Embassy thing, the sand trap.
Yep. I see the photo right here.
Because I took the picture.
Oh, you took it?
Oh, yeah, I took the picture.
Okay, I thought
I have it on my phone.
I thought they sent the photographer out.
No, I took the
No,
picture.
now you should know Ed by now. He's going to
Take a
provide
Okay?
everything.
Because I want people to see. And what I was trying to do, and I don't know if if it picked it up, was the wall on you know, on the other side. That's the wall. You know, that's the U.S. wall. You see what I'm saying? So they noticed. So that's why I asked the State Department if they would please delete that section because it makes no sense.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, it just makes no sense. And then the other thing, like you said, Rogan, and you picked upon it, and I hope others did, is it is very possible to do research. It doesn't. It doesn't
It's
take
not that hard.
tomorrow. Wait till you see tomorrow's.
Oh,
More
is
to
it
come.
It's a two
You
part.
guys know?
Oh, three part.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay.
Tree parts.
Yeah. So wait tomorrow. Actual figures. I don't know. I'll give a prelude. Actual figures of Miami, Florida, Orlando, Florida,
Love this.
Fort Lauderdale, with let's say a range of populations between
I was gonna ask about that.
180,000. Miami is 460,000. Cruise ships, all who have more rapes in their the overall rape numbers, higher than the Bahamas. And you could not find it anywhere. Do not publish what their visitor scenario is. At least we do. And you know some visitors get raped in Fort Lauderdale or whatever. So it shows actually the conclusion is, check this out, we safe at all them. So there you go. We'll be right back.
Look how
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith and Kenneler Thompson. Kenneler Thompson, how are you? Our guest this afternoon is going to be Darren
I'm
Henfield,
good.
Minister of Foreign Affairs. We're going to have some good fun with Darren. So, yeah, you broke it.
always-
Yeah,
no, I didn't.
Yeah.
I-
You shouldn't touch it. Don't touch it. What are we talking about today? Other
know-
than Tristan.
no, yes. Let's talk about a
No,
little bit something more serious.
Okay, yeah, we ain't talking about no Tristan.
Well, Tristan.
Sounds like a cracker. Go ahead.
What?
Like Trisket.
Oh, like Trisket. Oh.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I wanted to talk about something a little bit more serious and along the lines of entrepreneurship and my experience. I know people have heard me talk about me having my own business and so forth, but I wanted to kind of discuss an aspect of what I've been learning to deal with as I grow my business.
Yeah.
And I'm sure those out there who are, and it's a little creatives. So people who work their talents.
Absolutely.
Their talent is their work and their business.
That's
and
what provides for
and
them.
that's, yes. And it's a little different from different entrepreneurs that say have a store or, doctors who have their own practices and so forth. So I'm talking about photographers and artists, makeup artists, bloggers, calligraphers, these writers, these people who are, putting out their talent on a daily basis. So anyway, it is a matter of why do people think that it's okay to, when you ask this person to provide you with a service or a quote for a service, and the response is, if it's something that is, I guess, in your mind too high, you automatically think that it's okay to try and talk that person, that entrepreneur, down on their price. Or instead of just gracefully saying, you know what, this is out of my budget,
Right.
but I thank you for taking the time to send the quote to me.
Right.
and then that be that. And then if I then come back and say, okay, well, what can I ask? What budget are you working with?
Right.
And maybe I can meet you
Right.
somewhere. But it's that initial response of, oh, well, why does cost?
Yeah.
Well,
Why
see,
does cost so
let me
much?
say something to you. I don't think that should be the response, but I don't think it is unfair for someone to ask, can we negotiate the price?
No, there's a difference.
There's a difference, yes.
So you mean there's a difference on how you ask it?
No,
No.
my thing is,
Well,
Ed,
because
let me
the
let
world
me
is- the
no,
world is
let me
based
tell
on
you why.
negotiating.
Let me
No,
tell you
no,
why.
no
Because I
fields.
cannot go into
No,
a doctor's office and I
ask them
cannot
to
negotiate
negotiate.
their price. I cannot go into a Kelly's and negotiate
That's
the
correct.
$200
You can ask for a discount. People do it all
a
the time.
$200
No.
yeah, it's
Yeah, they go
very
all the time.
very rare that
That's
that
very rare.
happens.
Listen, I have a friend. I'm not a discounted. I don't do discount well. I don't ask for discounts well. But I'm telling you that if I get a construction quote or whatever, it's like, is there any room for negotiation? Now, I think that you should respect the person, but not to your point about how people say, well, why do it have to be so high? No. That isn't the point. That is your service, and
Right.
you don't have a right to ask why it should be so high. But at the same time, there's not anything wrong with asking someone to negotiate the price.
Listen, I think there are
No,
certain professions where people just don't automatically give it the same level of respect,
Respect.
that they do.
That's
in other
what it is.
I'm
professions.
not disagreeing with
And
that.
this happens often, even as me as a writer. People will say, "Oh, Jesus, you would charge all that?" Okay, if you have
Let's
the
save
choice
the
to
commentary,
go somewhere
please.
else
Yeah, again,
and
that
get
approach-
a subpar
But that's-
writer,
That's what I'm
That's
talking
my
about.
topic.
you can't do that.
It's not.
Let's
it's
not
the
do
approach,
that. Yeah,
right?
let's do away with that.
It's
With
the-
what?
It's two things,
With
though,
those,
Edward.
that
attitude.
response.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah, yeah,
attitude.
that's
It's two
wrong,
things.
yeah.
It's the attitude, and it's what Candy says. I cannot go into my doctor's office. I've been going to my doctor for 100 years, and the price is
You like
the
how much
price
you
is
say?
the price.
$150?
And I cannot talk my doctor
I
down
can't
on
just
that.
give you
no matter
$75.
how long I've been going to her. So all I'm saying is,
Well,
when it
first of all,
comes
you
to
don't know 'cause you
creatives,
probably haven't asked. But I'm saying, but the point I'm making is, I know about creatives, but it's not just creatives. It's a whole range of things that people ask for discounts
and it happens
for.
I
in
think-
construction as well.
In
I would
construction,
say that
if
to you.
you go into a
If it's an
retail shop for a
independent
ring, if you
contractor.
go to buy a piece of jewelry, you'll go, is
The
there any way I can get
likelihood,
it?
the
No,
likelihood, the likelihood of that is
No.
not as much as
I am
somebody
telling you
who.
now, I'm in
They would have to
I'm
say
in the
that.
retail world. So let me
go ahead,
finish with
Lon,
that.
listen, that's what
And
that-
I'm
that
telling you,
discount.
I'm telling you, I'm in the retail world. I'm in the hotel world. I can tell you all the time, every day, every single day of my life, that when people ask for things like rooms, they ask, is that the best rate I could get? When they go to the retail shops and people are buying a piece of jewelry, they go, is there any discounts I could get on that? I'm telling you, it
Let me
occurs
tell
on
you,
a daily
The
basis.
only time I will get a discount on a room is if they say, "Are you a resident?"
You
okay,
might get it.
and that's the time when I will get
You
a
might get it,
discount on
but
a
you
room.
can ask for it. That's what I'm saying. It's not
But
illegitimate.
but Ed, that's not my point. My point is, yes, you have every right to
It's
ask.
how you ask for it.
You have every right to ask, but when you get into a disrespectful or
that's
a disrespectful, like
We don't
you
disagree.
you charge in how much, because people cannot put a price on, like for like photography, like that
Oh,
is-
they always
like
do that
are
to
you
photographers.
serious?
I'm not disagreeing with
Or
that.
with
that
things
approach.
that they cannot fathom, like why do
By
you
the way-
cost
by
that
the way,
much?
That happens probably more here than a lot of other places. I can't speak to the rest of the group, but for instance, in the United States, people are respected for their creativity.
Right.
But again, both of you have said it's how these people come at you like, well, why not so? Yeah, that is completely disrespectful.
And that
But to
happens
say, and that
a
is
lot.
unacceptable. That is completely
unacceptable.
unacceptable.
And
But
go on.
it is not unacceptable. I want to just be very clear. In my view, I could be wrong on this. It is not unacceptable to say, well, listen, is there any room for negotiation on that price?
And
or-
that's
That's
different
respect.
approach.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
That is
that's
what I'm
different.
saying,
And then leave it up to
And
me
the
if
person can
if
say yes or
I'm
no,
sorry,
and yeah.
I'm unable to
then you say,
negotiate
well,
at
thank
this
you very
time,
much, and then that's it, you move on.
that's it.
I
Exactly.
remember several years ago interviewing, and I know we got to go soon, but interviewing Sammy Starr, the recording
Yeah.
artist, and he had me in stitches because he said there will be people, and I've heard this from so many performers, so many artists here, who say there'll be people who say, I having a party, come by and sing a couple of songs, and I'll give you a plate of food.
Yeah,
Oh.
right. Yeah. Well, now we
So
have
this
to say
person,
we
this is their job. This
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
their job full time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you're offering them a plate of food.
Yeah.
Can I ask the doctor to give me a surgery for a plate of food?
Yeah,
Thank
well,
you.
No, you have to give a buffet. Listen, we gotta go. We gotta go. Our guest is waiting. But very
But very
valid
good
point.
point. Very good
valid
point.
Thank you.
Candy. We'll see you on next week.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ed Fields here along with Rogan Smith, and we have in our studio yet another special guest. Actually, I think we've been trying to get this gentleman here for a little while, but we'll let it slide. Because sooner or later you come. We get you sooner or later, But you're a busy man. You're all around the place. Our guest this afternoon is the Honorable Minister Darren Henfield, who is the Minister of Foreign Affairs. That's a good gig, man.
So it's an okay job. Good evening.
You're in the tribal club.
Good evening, and thanks for having me here.
They always say that But you know what? Let me tell you about politicians. One thing about politicians, they don't ever move away from that, making sure they thank the people, the greeting, because they're sensitized to the fact that if they don't do it, someone say, well, who do you think he is?
He come on the show.
He come on the show and he even say good afternoon.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
exactly.
You're clear now. You're straight.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And thanks for inviting me. It's good,
it's good
to be here with you. Such a relaxed environment and atmosphere.
That's what we try to do. We tell a lot of people this is not a call-in show. You don't have to hear things. Well, why you ain't, screw your head around that. We don't have to hear that kind of stuff. We're going to have a conversation. Now, there are a couple of things that we want to talk about, and I suppose, other than some of the more recent stuff, the issue of our immigration policy, which is not necessarily your purview, because that's an immigration issue, although I imagine you must collaborate and speak with the Minister of Immigration quite a bit. How bad is our problem? I don't think people have an idea when it comes to the Haitian problem. Obviously, there are other nationals. What we are really up against, and I'm not trying to dismiss the need to somehow acclimate people into our society, etc. Right. But obviously, in a process, how many people do you think we have that are undocumented in this country?
It's difficult to say in a ballpark figure. I've heard estimates of between 20 and 30,000. You speak to the man on the jitney bus, he's going to tell you that there are about 75,000. Right?
I was going to be in 100,000.
Yeah, and so these numbers vary depending on whom you speak with.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, you all know since the 1950s, we've been receiving immigrants from Haiti. I think the first stimulus was the increase in our tourism product, which required that we found more labor. You moved to 1957. I'm from Abaco, and so I'm quite familiar with farm laborers, agricultural farm laborers coming to Abaco and working for a company called Owens, Illinois. Some moved to Andros later on. And then, things got to a point in Haiti where it was just destable. Yeah. Haiti is, despite having achieved independence since 1804, which was a feat never before seen in our region at the time when they did it. They routed a superpower in the French, were caused to pay reparations, and seem to have never recovered. Where Haiti now, from all of that glorious lofty height, has seen itself now residing in a position of the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere.
I mean, it's a tipping point. It's like a point of no return.
Yeah. And so what we see a lot earlier on in the 70s or so, you could have categorized some of the migrants coming as political and economic. But what you see now principally are economic migrants, right. Just trying to find a better way for their families.
You've been to Haiti, I'm sure.
Have you?
Yeah, I've been to Haiti. Of course, I come from my background is the Defense Force.
Yes.
And so I spent quite a number of trips going to Haiti, and I spent actually 6 months in Haiti doing peacekeeping. Oh, wow. I was in Haiti in 1996 when Rene Preval was elected. The UN, CARICOM had a battalion of which the Bahamas was a part, and I was a part of that battalion. So I spent some time.
Never knew we had a battalion. You have a battalion?
Yeah, we did. Okay. It's since been disbanded. I actually asked them about it last week in St. Kitts as to why this battalion no longer operates. Yeah. But they gave me some answer that I wasn't quite satisfied with, because we did quite well over there.
Well, the reason I asked you is because I wanted to find out from you what the attitude. So you have two countries. You have the Bahamas, that is on the receiving end, and the Haitian government and the Haitian Haiti, which is obviously where the things are flowing from. And the question I wanted to ask you is, what is the attitude of the Haitian government with regard to this? Because it really can't be.
For them, it appears
it's not
to be
detrimental for the people to leave.
For them, it appears to be a Herculean task, Sisyphus type like. You start to make some efforts in the right direction, as we believe we saw Moise trying to do, President Moise, who's the new president of Haiti, and then all of a sudden things.
I don't know why you'd want to be president of Haiti.
Things implode, right? You want to do well. I spoke with him personally.
That's a hard job, man.
I spoke with him personally. He's made quite a good living of the banana industry.
Okay.
And I asked him the very same question. He said, I wanted to come and see how we can do better in Haiti, because I think we have so much potential. And we were actually there. The Prime Minister led a delegation there, last year, and we actually went to an inauguration for a road, which cut down travel from 2 hours to something like 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so he was intent on making real inroads and improving the infrastructure, delivering potable water, and standing up, if possible, a tourism product. And so that's the attitude of the government, as I understand and appreciate it at the moment.
But when you have, and I'm guessing these numbers, I think they had something, the island of Hispaniola, if I'm correct, ballpark, has 22 million people, if I'm correct on this number, of which X amount of million are in Dominican Republic, and I think 11, 12 million in Haiti. We as a country don't realize the impact of these numbers, because when you go from say 300,000-400,000 and you get up to like 1 million, the exponential impact of those numbers are just dramatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I mean, you see a lot of people in the road all the time. It's just dramatic. We walk around here. There's no one in the road walking.
No one out there.
Okay. How? And then of course they have a very small middle class. Is that correct?
I don't know if you have a middle class in Haiti.
What
I've witnessed in my time in Haiti is a rich class of people.
Yeah.
Right.
Very small elite class.
Yeah, and then a very huge class of people who I don't know how you can even quantify their status. Wow. All right, because there is no middle. You're either extremely wealthy or you're extremely poor. And that's the dichotomy of what Haiti is.
Yeah. Well, that's similar to the Dominican Republic as well.
Yeah. And so you're quite right. The estimates are around 11 million. But in patrolling Haiti and helicopters with the UN, you wonder how they can conduct a real proper census, because sometimes you pass over these mountain ranges and you see smoke emanating from a coal stack burning somewhere. And I know it's almost impossible for them to count.
And when you fly over Haiti and Hispaniola, the island, one side is green, other side stark.
Yeah.
The least arable land, because they've taken all the trees down.
Yeah, they've deforested for coal. Yeah.
So the land, there's no soil.
And to add insult to injury, when you get these torrential rains, you have mudslides because there's no vegetation
to hold
the mud.
So
in place.
how when you listen, we got a challenge here. We got 300,000 people. We got roughly, I think the number is something like 30,000 unemployed. I mean, and we find we got a vibrant economy. We have immense proximity to the United States.
Can I tell you, Ed, that I believe, in my own estimation, that there's some jobs Bahamians do not wish to do.
No, I realize that. Yeah. I mean, because in theory, if you have seven, let's say you have 30,000 Asians. Who are working. Yeah. Well, that means you wouldn't have unemployment, but they're not interested.
I mean, that said, there's also this temptation for wanting to engage labor that is cheaper than standard, and an illegal migrant will work for basically whatever.
Right. So that market is
I spent 15 months in Monterey, California, and I watched seasonal pickers come and picked fruits and vegetables. And I often make this observation that if Mexicans didn't come
we wouldn't have any fruits
to pick strawberries, I could not afford one.
Yeah.
Okay,
absolutely.
so there's a place for migration, but it has to be done
in a
legally.
process,
it has to be regulated. I think it has to be regulated, And my father went on the contract back in the day, in the 40s, because Americans had to go off and fight in the war.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that's
he
right.
picked citrus in Florida, and he picked apples in Minnesota.
Same thing.
It's
with my
amazing how many
grandfather.
people
Yeah.
went to you went
Yeah.
to
Your
Minnesota
father
too.
as well?
My grandfather.
It's amazing how many
Yeah.
people I know because I went to
Yeah.
school in Minnesota. How many
Yeah.
people went that far
Yeah.
in Minnesota?
But that was good regulated labor.
Yes.
And it was good.
But they
good
came
job.
for a time. All of them didn't come back, mind
No,
you.
they-
Uh-huh.
All right,
them
because
got
I know
citizenship,
one or
yeah.
two who stayed.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
but most of them returned home and they were able to provide for their families back home.
Well, I mean, unfortunately, we don't seem to have that large of an agricultural base. Well, let me rephrase that question. Do we have enough of a demand for that labor
I think
that creates an infrastructure for a protocol, a process to, say, bring people in? Because the word is migrant. Well, migrant means moving from state to state, but to bring them in, and then when the season is over, to go back.
there are large farming concerns ongoing in places like Abaco. You ask a very good question. Do we have the demand for this level of labor in the Bahamas? But even if you move away from agronomy and you look at people who take care of our yards, I mean most of these are migrants from Haiti, and they do a very good job in our yards, right? And so there is work here for them to do. I'm concerned that not many Bahamians want to engage in kind of what we call manual or that kind of labor, menial labor.
Yeah.
And so I think where there is a demand,
Right.
that demand will be filled.
When you have these discussions with the Haitian government, there's a question that's always bothered me. Rogan and I discuss it quite a bit on this show, and I imagine it might be changing, but it's changing very slowly. This Saturday coming up, we're going to have a Greek festival. I think it's this Saturday.
Yep.
Rogan Smith just got some food from the Agropolis.
Really?
We got umpteen Chinese food restaurants.
Where's that? There you
In
go.
Palmdale
You hungry
area.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's closed now.
The boys say,
And
where's that?
I enjoy some Mediterranean food,
Yeah, go tomorrow.
yeah.
But you have umpteen Chinese food restaurants. You've got Indian restaurants. You've got English to Italian, everything. But we don't see Haitian restaurants. Now, the reason I bring that up, we even have a Filipino restaurant. The reason I bring that up is, why isn't it that the Haitian community, and I think it's more an our problem than theirs, has not been able to blend in and acclimate to where that's a part of our community?
They've not found a level of acceptance.
Because in Miami, they have a level of acceptance.
They've not found that level of acceptance, and some of it is due to their activities, and a lot of it is due to our disposition toward them. Whenever things get a little tough economically, when you find jobs are scarce, then you obviously, in most countries, you see this. People point toward the immigrant population.
That is correct.
And say, well, you taking my things,
yeah,
right?
It's so true.
And so there's always been that acrimony that will come up from time to time. Normally we would work with it and go through it, and turn a blind eye to it. But then when the economy goes south, then you hear about it.
But we
right?
patronize the Chinese. We patronize so many different nationalities. Why would we be averse to patronizing the Haitians?
I don't know. I think if you go in some of the unregulated communities, you would find Haitians doing their own thriving businesses among themselves, restaurants, barbershops, and the like. Anything that you can find in a regulated community, you would find in those communities, and perhaps there are sufficient of them, they think, within their own communities. There are huge communities in Abaco where you would see this, and in other parts of the Bahamas, Eleuthera.
Is it also because of the strata? So, for instance, and I'm just observations here, right? If you look at, say, Filipinos. In the Bahamas, we have Filipinos of a range of strata. You have housekeepers, you have radiologists, you have nurses, you have doctors.
That's a very good
We don't seem to have that strata, and it has a lot to do with the fact that Haitians don't have a middle class who are immigrating here, as opposed to the poorer classes that are immigrating here. And so now they're not assimilating with different stratas of the community.
You have to look. Take for instance, you have a look at Arawaki. There are a lot of businesses out there that I believe have a Haitian interest, that you find in that place, Marowak Key. I understand.
But they're
I
Bahamian
understand the
restaurants,
genre
Yeah.
that you're looking to establish. That you have this large population of Haitians in the Bahamas.
And we don't have a Haitian
yet no-
culture here,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like the Chinese culture or the Greek culture. I mean, the Greek culture is a rich, it's a
That's a
small
good-
grouping, but it's a rich culture. They got a Greek church and a Greek fair. And
But
That's a
just,
good
just
study.
to that point, I remember several years ago when the Haitian community wanted to have like a festival or something out west, and I mean the blowback from that was ridiculous because people were like, "Who are these people? They coming here? You know how we go to take over." And so even when people want to assimilate and just talk and share their culture with each other, it's a problem.
it's
because
more on us.
It's on us.
It's both sides, right? And my humble estimation. If you notice the Haitian Flag Day, and I make this observation often, you can see the Haitian pride.
Absolutely.
There are Haitian Bahamians who don't readily blow their Bahamian flags on Independence Day, and so there's this conflict apparently of cultures that we have to find a way to reconcile. And I think one of the ways that we do that is by integrating communities and assimilating communities rather than having segregated communities thriving on their own, especially these unregulated communities.
Because they also feel I guess I could use the word oppression, but certainly they don't feel welcome.
They are
in this environment, right? So that you feel that kind of
well, I hope I don't get into
conflict.
trouble for this, right? But I'll say it anyway, right? My grandfather was born in a place called Bottle Creek, Turks Island.
Okay.
My father was born here in Nassau.
When you leave it, when you got to show
Right.
you leaving. Okay.
Yeah, my father was born in Nassau, right?
Yeah.
I don't call myself a Turks Island Bahamian.
You call yourself a Bahamian.
I'm a Bahamian,
Right.
and so I don't know how much that plays
But again,
into our perception.
I don't think
right?
that Turks Island
Yeah,
has the same stigma,
maybe it doesn't.
and I don't know what
I
it is.
remember when it used to.
Yeah.
I remember when it used to. I was born in 1962.
And in Freeport, I know there was a big issue there, right?
Yeah, I remember when it used to.
I went to Florida once with my then partner in the radio show, Eric D.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how bad I self-recognize the issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were going through a drive-through restaurant, and the accent that came onto the speaker was obviously a Haitian accent.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought to myself, I just burst out laughing, because in those days it was like that ain't gonna happen in Nassau.
Not normal, yeah.
That ain't gonna happen in Nassau. You there's certain things,
Yeah.
and then one is not in no drive-through.
But
But that's the level we've relegated.
No, the Yod Islands assimilated more readily because of the labor intensity. Abaco for farming, Freeport, I think they had some other lumbering concern way back, and Andros, of course, for lumbering, and Abaco for sugarcane as well. So there's more readily acceptance in the Yod Islands, I think.
So it seems like you certainly have the background to understand the issue. And when you're sitting with the Haitian government and saying to them, listen, we got a problem home. I know you got a problem here, brother man, and we empathize, etc. But we have a problem home in terms of wanting to make sure that our people are taken care of, that our services aren't overwhelmed.
Yeah.
What's that reaction when you say, and listen, everyone who comes, we're going to have to send them back?
Not only do you seek to explicate the problems that you find at home, but you also have to appreciate the reality that the Haitian government is not does not possess the capacity to do what governments normally are able to do in the capital good and to provide for its population. For instance, we spent $232 million several years ago to upgrade our Defense Force fleet and what we call the Sandy Bottom Project, because this is a national and international responsibility that we should safeguard and secure our borders. A place called La Tortue, where most Haitians live from, I realized in reading a while back that there were 40,000 residents and one policeman. All right, and so can you imagine? And so can you imagine trying to?
The permanent residents, that's not the flow through.
That's not the flow through that come from all points to come to Nassau or to find some other place in the Bahamas. And so there are live issues that we have to be aware of. All right, Haiti is a member of CARICOM. It is a neighboring country. I said to CARICOM last week that I think they need to appreciate that we feel the brunt of it.
Absolutely.
What goes on in Haiti, even though we are not a part of the free movement of people or CSME.
We got a lot of movement.
We have a lot of movement. All right, and I started calling those same numbers to them, and they were like astounded.
Because when you think about the rest of the Caribbean, doesn't really have an immigration issue, do they?
No, not in the way that we do.
You see what I'm saying?
Barbados has an issue with Jamaicans. That's what
Turks
I
and
learned.
Caicos. Turks and Caicos is experiencing some challenges.
That's
a lot
the
of challenges
Bahamas.
with Haiti.
I'm sorry.
Well, you like to refer to that
that's
as
the
the
Bahamas.
Southern Bahamas,
They
right?
just, we own that.
Yeah.
You might as well tell you that now.
Yeah, they said they're not coming. I asked them. They said they're not coming back, right?
Yeah.
But they simply don't have the resources or ability, and you have to recognize that. And so, when the Prime Minister led the delegation of cabinet ministers there last year to speak with President Moise and his cabinet, it was to precisely figure out what we can do together to mitigate or ameliorate these circumstances. Because you also, this is a real life and death struggle. I mean, you saw what happened several weeks ago in Abaco. Unfortunately, throughout my career, I'd seen it one too many times.
Bahamians don't understand.
Yeah.
See, this is what Bahamian perspective is. We can get on a plane, sit in LPIA, get a Wendy's, that's one of our sponsors, get a Wendy's, have a Coke, that's another one of our sponsors, wait for the plane, get really upset when the flight late, and go to Miami.
Yeah.
We're going to be right back to talk
That's
about
a good
what the
point.
Haitian perspective is
Yes.
in Haiti. We'll be right back. I'm going to ask you, the thing we were saying before we were off the air was the perspective that Bahamians have in terms of our
traveling.
capacity to move. And imagine that in comparison to the perspective that a Haitian in Haiti has in terms of desperation
to get out of there.
Okay.
But you brought up something that was interesting, and it's about this the contribution to the economy that Haitians could make. Why is it that we, from even just a from a entrepreneurial perspective, because I saw you, I think it was you in the paper who wrote about investing in Haiti. Well, how about investing in Haiti here, to the extent where you open yourself to rentals and not. I mean, listen, I'm going to say this on the air. I think that Bahamians probably, and it's probably unrecognized globally, are extremely prejudiced.
Yes.
I'm not going to comment on that.
Okay, well, you
That's
can't
fine,
comment.
but
I
will
when it comes
second
to
that.
Haitian Bahamians.
Absolutely.
But Haitians and Haitian
Haitians
Bahamians.
and Haitian Bahamians.
Okay, so I just think that's a thing we have to somehow find a way to move away from, because the concern I have is this: when you have massive populations, this is basic politics 101. When you have massive populations of people who are disenfranchised, okay, who make up could be as close as a fourth, you never know, of the country, and they continue to be feeling left out, etc. That's not a good formula.
Can I say this though on that point? I don't know. I think prejudice is a strong word to use, right?
Okay.
But put yourself in the place of a Bahamian who will watch someone come here illegally, establish on Crown land or wherever the land is, build a house without permissions. Kids go to school. There's social services involved. There are other things involved that Bahamians who pay taxes regularly invariably paying for, right? My son cannot right now go on a piece of land and build a house without permits from the government issuing agency that issues these permits. And so I think Bahamians have a real challenge, as they ought to.
I don't.
And it builds, it creates animosity.
Right.
Yeah.
That you can come to my country and act in this way, and I can't go to your country even if I wanted to,
Right.
and receive the same benefits.
You can't even do that here in your own country.
I can't even as a Bahamian do it right here in my own country.
But I mean,
and so that's a part of the animus that you find.
I take that point. I
Yeah.
accept
But
that.
what about, for instance, people who are here legally? See, so I get you. And by the way, I would feel that way whether you're Haitian, whether you're Chinese. If you come here and believe you can do this, that ain't happening. But what about people who are here?
But if you
legally?
migrate legally, you're contributing to the society.
Right, but people still have
because
that
you're
thing.
paying your taxes.
Yeah.
right? You're probably paying your NIB. You got to go to the food store.
Yeah.
You're shopping at the gas stations and the pharmacies, and you're going. Hopefully, you're going to the restaurants and
You put money in your
and you're putting money in the little mom and pop shops in the area where you live. You're contributing to the economy because you have to live.
Yeah.
And to do that, it requires that you spend some capital.
Have you seen the Green Book?
I saw it. I saw the Green Book. That's the one with the pianist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw
There
it.
was a scene in there where the gentleman came to dinner, and no, there was some plumbers in the kitchen fixing the lady's plumbing,
Okay.
the sink.
Literally.
Well, you said it, not me. You see, you got off course now, okay? You lose some diplomatic
Good-
skills.
good
Fixing the
one.
plumbing, man.
Yeah,
Fixing
yeah,
the plumbing,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And so when they were finished, the lady was obviously very open-minded person, gave the gentleman some water.
Mhm.
The husband, who was actually the star of the thing, came into that, noticed it, looked at it, didn't do anything, went back out, came back, saw the glasses again. He put the glasses in the garbage. That's our mentality toward our Haitian brothers and sisters. And I'm not talking about whether they are legal or not. That's one issue. There's two divisions, right? It's being illegal.
No, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen in my house.
Well, no, not
That
in
doesn't
your
happen
house.
in my house.
No, but I'm saying a lot. I did a course
yeah.
once, Ms. Minister, when I said to the people, why do we treat people in a certain way? We were talking about how we feel we're treated by expats. Okay, we're looking from how we're treated by expats,
Right.
and I say, well, maybe how we're treated is how we treat others. How we feel we're treated is how we treat others. We might even be treated that way. And I use the example, and I made an example. I'm going to say this on the air. I think I've said it before. When I was growing up, my parents, when we had gardeners who were of Haitian descent, they had different cups.
Okay.
Okay, no, I'm going to be kind of. They had different cups.
They
and
would
different
never.
plates.
That's so true.
Okay, because for some reason the Haitian germ is so powerful that you can't
can't
wash
have
it off with Dove or whatever you
It's
wash it off.
ridiculous.
But you can go to a hotel, you don't know what they got over there. Okay, so I said to the guys in the seminar, I said, so why do we do that? And they had rationales. Well, they work in the yard. There's certain things. I said, okay, so I put up a picture of another guy, a white gentleman who's known to both you and I. I said, well, what you think about him? If he come to your house, what you'll do?
You're going to take out the finest China.
China.
Yeah.
That's right. You're
I said, well,
absolutely right.
It's funny. Let me tell you something. He's a landscaper. He work in the yard.
Okay.
Okay. You see, but that's we getting a little bit more sociological here.
Yeah.
So now tell us, what are the state of affairs between Haiti and the Bahamas at this time?
I think we have a strong relationship, recognizing all of the impediments within the relationship. Haitians migrate here illegally. They send money home in remittances, which challenges our economy. Policing illegal migration requires more money to be spent in ways where we ought to be maybe investing more in the infrastructure. And the capital good and social services and education and healthcare and that kind of thing. But that said, we continue to work with the Haitian government. The foreign minister, Edmond Boichet, and I had a meeting last week in St. Kitts where we determined that we will resume our talks and our efforts as soon as possible. But you recognize that Haiti is a very volatile place where overnight things can just.
I mean, they go through like a president every year.
Yeah, right. Well, that's another point that I think may be lost on us. That they're going through, I think, what I like to call this maturation process of democracy, where they don't allow a government to run its full term.
Because they want immediate results.
They want immediate
That's what
results.
We're going through every 5 years.
And the expectations are very high. The expectations are very high, right?
Very high, yeah.
And so we made some inroads, I think, where we talked about things like perhaps developing trade between our two countries, where we talked about assisting them in the Haitian National Police with safeguarding their borders. We have a very good defense force.
Yeah.
We have a shipwright agreement with the United States Coast Guard. Right. One similar can be used, we believe, with Haiti.
Okay.
They had agreed to look at these initiatives, and then things went south. And so it's like a circular kind of effort,
I want to make a shift because we got 10 minutes left, so we'll make a shift to the big boys. So we're dealing with the South. That was the South. Now we can deal with the North.
That was South-South cooperation.
Yeah. Listen, I know that we have a very good relationship with the United States of America, but let me tell you this. I've been in the hotel business now for 20 years. Not one. We have had advisory after advisory after advisory after advisory, put out there. Not once have I seen the level of impact that I see this one as having, not in terms of actual numbers and dollars, etc., but in terms of inquiry and concern. When that kind of thing happens, what do you do? How do you, I know you can't discuss these things, but what do you do in terms of making our position known or our concerns known to the embassy?
We express at the highest level with the government of the United States, at State Department level, our concerns, but we realize that this is a legal requirement of governments, that when their citizens travel to foreign countries, they should be able to advise them on how they remain safe, or if it's even safe to travel to that country. This is a lawful requirement, and so we understand and appreciate that.
But
we have been making
accuracy and context.
There has to be accuracy and content. And context, right? Because I read with interest your article this morning, and it pointed a few things on the numbers and even on the sound trap, which is non-existent from what I read in your article. But we've made some tremendous strides, I think, in fighting crime since coming to office. We are now introducing a drone program, closed circuit television program. We've introduced the shot spotter program, which will be able, if a weapon is fired in a particular area, this technology is known to be able to pinpoint precisely where that weapon is fired, and those prosecuting these crimes can react very speedily. But we have a lot more work to do, and that's something we have to admit.
When we when you, as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, from a titsy bitsy, eensy beensy country like the Bahamas, dealing with a gargantuan like the United States of America, is there a feeling that, well, first of all, is there a feeling of that there's a sensitivity to any little move they make, tiniest moves they make, could be a tidal wave here, and that the impact could be negative at all?
No, the realpolitik of it is that, if America is doing good economically in your industry and tourism, you do very well economically. We've been strong strategic partners and allies from before independence. Bahamians have strong familial and historical ties in the United States. Most of us have families who live there. The typical Bahamian will feel very offended if it is ever said that Bahamians can no longer travel.
Oh no, we're not offended. That's a riot.
That's a riot to the United States. That's how close we are.
We'll have discussions.
That's how close we are.
One by one.
And so we consider ourselves really, really good partners and friends, strategically and otherwise.
But listen, the Bahamas is a easy country to deal with in terms of immigration issues to the U.S. We're not a threat to them immigration-wise. That's why we can go on a passport and a police certificate. So a stable economy is very important here. But what I was asking is, are they sensitive to the slightest move or the slightest statement taken wrongly? And by the way, that could have major impact on the stability of this economy?
We have one-on-one discussions with the people here at the embassy. We have one-on-one discussions with the people at the State Department when we travel to the United States or if they travel here. And so they're real apprised of the things that can be harmful to us. I think they appreciate that.
Okay. On other notes, we only got a few minutes left. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I don't say this to be offensive. Oh, by the way, before I forget, because I ain't gonna forget this one. I've been pounding you on this one before, so I'm putting it public now. When we are very fortunate as Bahamians, we can go to the United States with a birth, what do you call it, a police certificate, and you can get a visa for like 10 years and all that kind of thing. And by the way, you know, I still love everyone, and that's happy, and I don't want no
Make
revocation.
sure you get that straight up.
I would darn. So you know, wherever you go, I go. Now, but when you're entering from another country, you have to have a visa, which is understandable. You know, okay. But there's a global entry scenario, kiosk, that when you're coming from other countries, I see all kind of, let me say this, because, you know, I don't care about these other countries. I see all kind of other funny little countries could be on the global entry thing, and we just going through, man.
Yeah.
Why can't we get on that?
Global entry is used by the State Department for people traversing American airports and other places for ease of transit.
Yeah.
And we're looking into it.
Let's get on that.
We're looking into it.
I feel I'm putting you in charge of that, okay? That's what
we're looking into it.
Ask Rogan Smith.
We're looking into it.
When I stick on something, it's a problem.
Yeah, we're looking into it.
With that thing.
Well, I heard it before. I heard it in a town meeting in Albuquerque.
Yeah, it's a problem.
And we started looking, and we're looking into it.
But I want to say, so, and of course, all to those other countries out there, when I said funny little countries, you know, that had nothing to do with Mr. Henfield, but I said it. And of course, I meant that in a humorous way. Funny, like, you know, you tickle my fancy. Now,
happy places.
Yeah, happy places. Venezuela. You know, this is how I want to lead into this. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is kind of a, like, under, you know, the clever type of ministry, right? It doesn't affect Bahamians on a day-to-day basis other than when they need consular issues off because the passport falls under your office. But it's not one of those, I would say, bread basket items on a daily basis. So things like Venezuela, do you think it's important for Bahamians to appreciate why you would take a stance on there, and how, for that matter, how it would affect Bahamians if you know, either way?
It's a very good question, and sure, I believe it is important for Bahamians to take interest in what we do in the international arena. Let me preface my answer by saying this to you. What I've been charged by the Prime Minister to manage our foreign relations, and I have one mantra every day when I go into the office, and that's this: whatever we do in foreign policy and foreign relations must inure to the benefit of Bahamians in their economy and in their security. And that's the guiding principle of what we do as we interact with the international community. Venezuela, the situation in Venezuela first came into the radar, I think, in 2014, where there were issues of improprieties in voting and that kind of thing. The OAS has sanctioned Venezuela. The Bahamas supported that sanction. So we have voted consistently as it relates to that block. You've had millions of Venezuelans leave the country going into Colombia and other neighboring countries.
Trinidad.
Some as close
right
as Trinidad and Guyana.
They have that's the Trinidadian immigration issue now.
Yeah.
Venezuela.
And you can't ignore the fact that this economy, which was thriving in Latin America, a thriving oil economy, to the point where it entered into agreements with other countries in our region under the Petro-Carib agreement to give oil at a reduced cost and to save that money into funds. And so you look at Venezuela then, and you look at Venezuela now, and you can't ignore the challenges to human rights. I mean,
what happened? What happened?
We in the Bahamas, we're a part of the Human Rights Commission for the first time, and so we're concerned with humanity. We're concerned with the state of affairs of the people of Venezuela, who are now being denied aid. You know, for whatever reason. I feel if your people have access to food aid or medicine, they ought to be able to receive it.
I suppose the Bahamas lesson should be learned. You look at a country as rich as that was in terms of oil, and where they are now. It is actually also in our interest to find out and to know what happened there, so that something like that doesn't happen here. Because I don't even know what happened. No. I mean, you know, because maybe it's a country we're not thinking about all the time. But I mean, they still have oil, I assume. What happened?
I don't know. There's been speculations that Chavez, Chavistas, he looked after the people.
They just raped the country
a little bit more. No, he looked after the people. Chavez looked after the people a little bit more. and these latter regime, you don't find that same type of existence.
Okay.
There's been speculation in that regard,
Uh-huh.
but you cannot look at Venezuela and deny that there is an issue. The Bahamas in this instance is, I think, in very good company with the European Union, with the UK, with the United States of America, and other significant democratic countries in the world.
Yeah, and I suppose if one day, we find ourselves on the road, we're going to want that kind of support.
You would want someone to look at you as well, right?
Yeah,
you're in opposition and you feel you're being railroaded.
Right.
There were reports of opposition members and leaders being locked up and then snap elections without time for preparation. And all these things are in the resolutions at
we don't know how
the OAS.
We don't know how good we have it.
And
Listen,
so we continue to pray that things will be resolved.
Darren
in
Helfield,
Venezuela.
very interesting conversation, and we hope to have you back. Go
I
ahead.
tell him he needs to come back here. He's really good.
We hope to have you back. I mean, now that you feel, I think, comfortable, when you
Ed, I was always
so
comfortable.
tired,
I was always comfortable with you. It's just I think we had some issues with that timing.
I mean, it's only kidding, but I mean, now that you know that this is a place of.
No, I'm going to encourage more of my colleagues to come and sit and chat with you and Rogan.
Yeah, a lot of time.
To share what we're doing.
By the way,
in our
we
various
had,
ministries.
and I'm saying this to you, we had Minister Bethel on last Monday,
Thursday.
Okay.
and I got several comments from folks, and these are high up in the finance world, who said the way that position was explained
Yeah,
Yeah,
he did a
was
fantastic
just
job.
top notch.
Yeah, he's very good at that.
And
Yeah.
that whole premise about, and you're involved in this as well because of the EU stuff,
Yeah.
of creating a framework so that we can react
That's
quickly.
flexible.
Did he tell you that we place an ambassador?
An ambassador, yes, he did. Marie, O'Brien.
Who should present her credentials on Wednesday, I think.
You ain't got none of them.
As soon as one becomes available, I'll let you know.
I look at
but
something
I don't know what's going to get you.
I look at something like Norway or something like
Norway
that.
or something like that.
Something
Yeah.
cool, something,
Yeah.
fix your boy up.
We're looking
This
at
is where we talk about doing your graft and your corruption in a transparent manner.
we will look at that. We will look at that.
Listen, man, it's been a pleasure, man.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.